good morning or afternoon or evening, everyone joining us here today. We are here to talk with Niraj Kumar, who has authored the book of the Kalachakra Tantra, first volume, which he will be talking through today with us. So firstly, I would like to do a brief introduction. Niraj Kumar belongs to the Magadha region and born near Bodhgaya. He is the author of a classic work on Asian integration called Arise Asia. He is also a founding member of the Society for Asian Integration, an organization working for the promoting of Asian integration. He's been studying and writing Hindu and Buddhist tantras and is a keen student of geopolitics and geostrategy. He is a civil servant and is currently working as a director in the government of India. For the last 8 years, Niraj has been working on the 5-volume pentalogy of the Kalachakra Tantra. This is the first comprehensive translation and new commentary of the cryptic Sanskrit text of the 11th century after several centuries. We will welcome Niraj in a moment. This first volume of his book, which is available on Amazon and online to buy, it is the translation, annotation and commentary, the first of 5 volumes. The book has 4 sections in it. The first section being about the outer geography, linguistics and cosmology of the Kalachakra Tantra. The second section is on the method of planetary computations. The third section is on the Svadhyaya astrology and machines. And the Svadhyaya astrology is based on the arising vowels, which is almost a lost discipline. And the 4th section is on the Kalki kings. So as scholars may know, the Kalki is prophesied to bring Hindu Buddhist onto a common platform. And there's also the concept of Shambhala in this section, which Niraj will be talking with us about today, which is the place of material abundance, universal peace and happiness, which we have all heard of. Now I would like to introduce Niraj. If anyone does have any questions throughout the discussion, please add them to the Q&A section. We will have some time at the end of Niraj's talk to go through some questions. But firstly, I would like to welcome Niraj. And you're just, yeah, beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you, Tanya. This is awesome because I'm finding almost 100 people online. So first, I must thank His Eminence Khentu Rinpoche Ji for providing me this opportunity, and what a wonderful audience from across the world. I'm indeed obliged to His Eminence Khentu Rinpoche Ji for offering me this opportunity to share snippets of my worldview on this platform of Jogten. His Eminence himself is a great Kalachakra master, whose vision of a golden age for humanity is like a soothing balm in the post-pandemic world, ravaged by war, drought, climate change, and all these social disruptions, famine. The Kalachakra Tantra envisions a world where there is Shanti, that is peace, and Pushti, that is nourishment, prosperity. Then it also talks about Tushti. Tushti is satisfaction, contentment, and Samaras, that is universal delight. This is a utopian dream for sages and philosophers alike. What is so special about the Kalachakra Tantra then? This uniqueness, I think, it lies in the celebration of the dictum that Kalachakra Tantra mentions, Dehe Madhye Samastang. Dehe means body, Madhye, in the middle of body. Everything lies within our body. And then it says, Yatha Bahye Tatha Dehe, Yatha Dehe Tatha Apare. As in the outer world, Baha is the outer world, so is in the body within thee. And as in the body, so is in the other, upper is the other world. What does that mean? That means there is a common pattern of processes in the outer world, inner world, and the other world, which I identify with the symbolic universe. This similarity has been termed as Evam. Evam means similar. In fact, Evam is the supreme essence of this philosophy, summed up in the stanza 160 of the last chapter. There are 5 chapters in the Kalachakra Tantra. So first is on the Lok Dhatu, outer universe. Second is for inner world, Adhyatm chapter. Then third is on Abhishek, how to consecrate. Fourth is on sadhana practice, and fifth is the Gyan Patal, that is on gnosis. So this stanza 160 of the fifth last chapter of the Kalachakra Tantra mentions Vijnanam Jnanam Eki Bhauti Cha Maruta Chandra Surya Niruddhe Evang Cha Evang Tatha Evang Trividhang Api Bhaven Na Aparang Kinchit Asti. That means the empirical knowledge, Vigyan, and transcendental knowledge, Gyan, that becomes one when the lunar and solar winds are blocked. Evam and Evam, similarly Evam, this is threefold. There is nothing beyond this. But how to decipher the Evam process? Evam means similar processes that pervade threefold existence of physical universe, biological world, and the symbolic universe. And what is the symbolic universe? The world of the realm of languages, communication, then art, mandala, so mudra, so all these are part of our symbolic universe. The Kalachakra Tantra deciphers the wheel of time itself. Chakra is the wheel and Kal is time. In the circle of time, in the wheel of time, everything decays and disintegrates. It is like the second principle of entropy in thermodynamics in physics. There is nothing in physical universe that does not decay. Even protons decay. Similarly, in the biological world, we have got a new principle of disintegration, that is death. And in the symbolic universe, it is decline of standardized languages or dissimulation of images and information system losing information as per Shannon entropy. Thus, wheel of time causes decay and disintegration of physical realm, death in biological realm, and dementia, dissimulation, and information loss in the symbolic realm. Now, how that takes place? Time has two modes. We all know computational, like we are calculating the program will start at 11. So this is computational mode of time, Kalnatmak. And then another is the phase changing. How do we age? How does system age? So that is the phase changing nature of time. That is Kalatmak. Phase is Kala. So this phase changing nature of time is dissipating. So time causes the disintegration of a system during its Kalatmak mode. So what is the process by which this disintegration is caused in due course of time? The Kalachakra masters assume it to be the breathing. There is incessant phase change during breathing from right to left and vice versa. And when there is phase change, the duration at the midpoint is the Madhyama. It is the deficit in flow of time. It accumulates and then causes disintegration and collapse of the system. And it assumes that any system can be divided into two halves, and then there will be phase change. So one half, say right half is the solar and left half is the lunar, and whenever there is phase change at the midpoint, you know that deficit is caused. In all three words, physical, biological, and symbolic, dissipation takes place through similar process of breathing. Thus, everything is breathing and alive. And if every system is breathing with phase change, then these are conscious. Breathing is indicator of sentience. The whole universe is conscious and alive. This is the grand pan-psychic vision of the Kalachakra Tantra. On the other hand, all these processes are mechanical and have sequential arrangement, that is called kram, gradual sequencing. Even in our own lives, there is that sequence because first we are child and how we become old. So everything in the world had that kind of sequence come. That too is seen as a biomechanical process in the Kalachakra Tantra. Here, the wheel of Pratitya Samutpad, that is dependent co-origination, operates. This chain of 12 causes seals the universe. This indeed is the Mahamudra, the great seal. The first link in the chain is ignorance, avidya, and the 12th link is old age and death, jara, maran. If 11 links are broken in a chain of 12, then naturally there will be no old age and death. Kalachakra Tantra then postulates 11 kind of initiation, starting from water initiation, which they term as toy is water, to the last initiation, which is in the 5th chapter, that is Mahamudra initiation. And 11 chains, 11 initiations break the 11 chains of causality, and an adept can then attain the body of a young man beyond graying or falling of hair, Vali Palit Gatan. He attains Vajrasana, an indestructible body, which in due course can even become rainbow body, purely desubstantiated hologramic body. Though principles of causality ingrained in Pratitya Samutpad leads to old age and death, the principle of similarity, that is evam, is acausal. There is no cause and effect relationship in the principle of similarity. This evam principle operates through tunneling in 3 words. So if one attains mastery of ritual in mandala, he can also master his body and thereafter master the outer world. Evam in a sense operates through vedhan, piercing, tunneling, drilling, puncturing. Then reversal of flow of time is possible through the evam principle. If one masters the hydraulic reversal of the falling bodhicitta within body, he can also learn the reversal of aging. Just as in the biological world, prana wind carries the life energy, in the physical universe also, it is the pravah wind that makes celestial objects to constantly drift. If prana wind had 10 mandalas, 5 each of right and left phase, and each mandala for one of the 5 elements, then similarly there are 10 mandalas in the flow of pravah, and then 10 mandalas are also in the flow of time through 4 yugas, and it is said that mandalas of wind flow in a women's yoni also. This has been mentioned in the verse 93 of the last chapter, 5th chapter, Gyan Patal. By modulating the prana wind in one dimension, one can have non-local result in another dimension. A yogi can thus control the flow of time itself. This stunt attempted to find out a universal algorithm for dissipation in all 3 worlds. In fact, the composer also numeralized the concept. The Kalachakra deity is the number 1125 and the world mother, Vismata, is number 384. We will see the numbers when we discuss about Shambhala. Shambhala finds earliest mention in the Kalachakra Tantra in the very first chapter, that is Lok Dhatu Patal. It is on stanza 26, and here the term is Sambal. Sambal is derived, it is not Shambhala in the Kalachakra text, it is Sambal. Sambal is derived from 2 terms, Sam and Bhal. And what is Sam? Sam is pleasure, peace, liberation, delight, prosperity. From Sam, then even in the Tantra, it has been mentioned Sambho many a times. That means eternal peace. And Bhal means to describe, to expound. The Sambal in the text is the description of prosperity and delight. The text mentions how the Kalachakra Tantra was taught by Adi Buddha to King Suchand, who was a king of Shambhala. He was the first Dharma king. Then the 8th Dharma king Yasa, who also became the first Kalki king, breathed the original Tantra of 12,000 stanza long, I taught to King Suchanda into 1030 stanzas of the present Kalachakra Tantra. Though there are 1047 slokas in the present version, but Vimal Prabha said that it was only 1030, remaining 17 slokas are in a way the eulogy, astuti. Then the second Kalki king, Pundarik, he wrote a 12,000 line commentary, Vimal Prabha, on abridged Kalachakra Tantra. Though he claims to have followed the root Tantra, that is Adi Buddha Tantra, and Pundarik claims that this is Mool Tantra Anusarini, that is it followed the root Tantra. Now there is elaborate description about Shambhala in the Vimal Prabha written by Pundarik, the second Kalki king. The Kalachakra Tantra, though mentioned as stanza 150 of the first chapter, that Shambhala is in the right half of the Kailash Khand. Sabbe ardhe sambal akhyang munivar nilyang gram koti adivasang. It clearly says Sabbe ardhe sambal akhyang. That means Shambhala is said to be in the right half where best sages resides. And Shambhala is not something, in wilderness. There are 10 million villages here. But Kailash Khand is not the current geographical region of Kailash. In the Chakraval system, there are 6 oceans, 6 continents, and 6 mountains in concentric ring around a cylindrical Meru having 1 lakh yojan height. Now, one must know what is the measure of 1 yojan. So, if we consider average human height, say as 1.6 meter, then 1 yojan is equal to 12.8 kilometer. That means Meru has a height of more than a million kilometers. That means 4 times the distance between Earth and the Moon. All these 6 sets of continents, oceans, and mountains are spread around Meru in a radius of 25,000 yojan. I will just show through a slide how it has been described in the Tantra. I am just sharing the slide. I can't share the PPT.
We're here
No
now.
problem.
Yes. I can't. I just. Okay. Yes. So here we can see, this is the description of the Chakraval in the Kalachakra Tantra. Meru is at the center, and there are set of 6 mountains, 6 continents, and uh, and thereafter these are within 25,000 yojan from Meru, and thereafter this is Jambudvipa. So Jambudvipa too is 25,000 yojan in width. Thereafter there is water ring of 50,000 yojan, then fire ring of 50,000 yojan. So this is how the Chakraval system in the Kalachakra is. Now let us see this Jambudvipa. So this is the Jambudvipa. Jambudvipa had 12 sections. You can just see these are the 12 sections. So in a way, it has also been fitted with the Pratitya Samutpad theory of 12 causes, each section corresponding to one of the Nidanas. And this is the structure of one section of the Jambudvipa. So this is how I have prepared. The width is 25,000 yojan. This is the outer corner, outer boundary. This is the inner boundary of 12,500 yojan. So this is one section of the Jambudvipa. Now we come to Kailash. Okay. So one of the section is the Kailash section. So Kailash is not at the center. At center is Meru, and out of the 12 sections, there is one section where the Kailash lies. So this section is the Kailash section. So the dimension I have already stated. Now the Jambudvip has a circumference of 3 lakh yojan. Here ratio of circumference and diameter has been taken at 3:1. And each division I have already mentioned the major. Kailash as one of the division, it is different from Meru. So first we have to know that Kailash is not Meru in Kalachakra Tantra. In Kailash section, then there are 8 petals. I will just show you. It is like this. These are the 8 petals. Okay. And on each petal there are 12 Vishya. And what is Vishya? These. Okay. Vishya is island continents. Now in the right half, and where is the right? Right is if we face the sun on the east side, if we stand towards the east, then right side will be the south. So this is because in the Tantra, this is the right side. This will be the right side, this will be the left side, this will be the back side, and this is the front side. So this is east, this is south, this is west, and this is north. So on the right side, so this will be the location of Shambhala in Kailash section, and one half of the right side. So either it will be here or it will be here. Okay. And this is the whole Kailash section. If we can see whole Jambudvipa, there are, yeah, you just see this is the whole Jambudvipa. There are 12 sections, khandas, and each section has 8 petals, and each petal has got 12 island continents. So now coming to how to find out Shambhala in the geographical location. So Shambhala has been mentioned as a stanza 156 of the first chapter of the Tantra. When we come to Pundik's Vimal Prabha commentary, we find mention of Shambhala in the third brief. Shambhala is in the north of river Sita. Suradath, another disciple of King Yasa, the first Kalki king, talks about Sita river, Lanka island, and Arya Visay in one go. Arya Visay is India, and Lanka is present Lanka, Ceylon. So what Suradath is mentioning, which has been stated in the Vimal Prabha, Sita Nadi Dakshine Himvate Lanka Dvipasya Madhye Arvisyam Gamisyama. So it is Sita river, Himalayas, Lanka island, and the Arvisay, that is India. So he is talking about all these 4 as a common neighborhood. We also find mention of Champak region in the north of Sita river in the Vimal Prabha commentary. And presently, where is Champak? Champak is Champa in Vietnam. Then we find mention of Rukma in the north of Sita river. Arabs called Harikela as Ruhma. So I think it appears to be a scribal's error in copying manuscript. So Ruhma became Rukma in the present published Vimal Prabha. In Ruhma, Chanda dynasty flourished, and it is just near Chittagong in the Bangladesh. So between Chittagong and Tripura. Thus, there are enough indications that Champa, Harikela, Shambhala, Lanka, etc. are in common neighborhood. I have identified Sita river as Irrawaddy. This river. This is Irrawaddy. Okay. That runs north to south in Myanmar and finally empties in the Bay of Bengal near Yangon. Sita means white, and Irrawaddy river derives its name from Airavat, the white elephant of king of gods. Airavat is also indicative of Buddhahood. The legend mentions how Sakyamuni, Buddha's mother, dreamed about a white elephant entering her womb while conceiving Buddha. So once we have identified the river Irrawaddy as the Sita river near Shambhala, one suddenly unlocks several mysterious descriptions in the Tantra and the Vimal Prabha. I have identified Arakan coast, this coastal region, of Myanmar as Shambhala. This coastline of Arakan strip is accessible through sea, which we find in Buston's history of Kalachakra Tantra. Because to reach Shambhala, one had to sail through the sea. Then it is also surrounded by mountain ranges, the lower Himalayas stepping towards Bay of Bengal. And this Arakan is inaccessible from mainland Burma because of these mountain ranges. It lies on the right side of Irrawaddy. If we see Irrawaddy, the right side will be here, left side will be here. So on left is Ceylon, Lanka, on right will be Arakan. It lies on the right side of Irrawaddy, and Lanka lies on the left side of Irrawaddy, looking from the direction of flow. Thus, it is said to be on the right half on 1 petal out of 8 petals in the Kailash region. Now, let us find out what special features about Shambhala has been mentioned in the text, particularly in the Vimal Prabha. This land has elephants and mountain horses. Naturally, it is neither in Tibet nor in Mongolia because elephants are not found in Tibet or Mongolia. The Vimal Prabha commentary mentions about fragrant sandalwood grove. Also, the Tantra mentions Chandan. Then a special mention is about fragrant Vakuli flowers. And what are these Vakuli flowers? So the picture which I kept as background, that is the Vakuli flower, also known as a Spanish cherry. In India, we call it Mollisry flower. It is found only, this is the Vakuli tree, this is Vakuli flower, this one. So this Vakuli, which has been often mentioned in Vimal Prabha commentary, is found in Shambhala. And this broccoli is found only in tropical Asia, in the lowlands, and particularly in the coastal belt. It is native to India, Myanmar, and Indochina. Similarly, sandalwood is found in Southeast Asia, South India, and Burma. So both these are tropical plants and not native to either Tibet or Mongolia. I have devoted a full section in the introduction of my book on Kalachakra Tantra and established geographical Shambhala in the Arakan, more specifically the old Vaithali. There was a Vaithali kingdom, that is corruption of the name Vaisali. And this Vaithali kingdom was 70 kilometers northeast of Sitwe port. Here we see Sitwe, almost here, this Vaithali kingdom was there. So that I have identified with Shambhala. And there is a long, long section in my introduction to the book. Here, Chanda kings ruled for nearly 300 years. Now we know the legend of the Chanda kings and Sujandra himself being taught the Kalachakra Tantra by Adi Buddha. And Suchanda means Su means excellent, auspicious. So Suchanda can be any of the Chanda kings. This dynasty was uprooted in 1018 AD, just a few years before the writing of the Kalachakra Tantra commenced. And the Tantra, what I have fitted the timeline. So the writing of Tantra started in 1027 and it was completed by 1036 AD. Now, stanza 54 of the first chapter of the Kalachakra Tantra mentions that increase and decrease in duration of day and night in 180 days, 6 months, it is 1/6 of a whole day. So that means 4 hours. One finds maximum difference of duration of day and night between summer and winter solstice in Mongolia at 7 hours and 20 minutes. Mongolia is thus clearly ruled out as the location of Shambhala where the observations were made. Now at Arakan, this difference is just less than 2 hours. But in Kashmir and Ladakh, the difference comes out to be 4 hours, same as mentioned in the Tantra. In no way the measurement could have been made in places in Mongolia. This was done within India, that is the Arya in the neighborhood of Shambhala. Apart, because you just see this Arakan, the kingdom of Chanda, it is said that they came from Vaisali only, Vaisali in Magadha. It was so closely connected with India, particularly Bengal and the Pala kings, and one branch of the Chanda kings, they also ruled in this Komila region between Tripura and Chitgaon. So apart from astronomical data, when one studies the flora, fauna and foods listed in the Tantra, it is clear that it was composed in India and around. Mention of polak, that is puri, fried wheat bread, modak, laddu or kheer, etc. is so strong Magadhan root of the text. For detailed reading, one may read the long introduction in my book, but how come Shambhala shift northward in modern period? Now we come to the legend of Shambhala during modern times. This confusion started after writings of the sixth Panchen Lama, Lobsang Palden Yese. He was very politically very active and he was politically supreme also during later half of 18th century. During his time, Indian sannyasi known as Gosais, they used to visit Tibet and China, passing through Nepal, and they engaged in trade activities. These exchanges continued until Kathmandu Valley was captured by Gurkhas and later Gurkhas closed the valley for Gosais in the year 1769. At that time, one Purangiri Gosai, who was an intermediary between Raja Chat Singh of Banaras, who controlled Mahabodhi temple, and then King of Bhutan, King of Kuch Bihar, East India Company, the British East India Company, and Panchen Lama. So he was an emissary between all these ruling parties. So Puran Giri Gosai, he visited the sixth Panchen Lama in 1771. This is the timeline. This is very, very important. Now Puran Giri also accompanied Panchen Lama to Manchu court in 1779 when Panchen Lama had gone there to celebrate 70th birthday of the Manchu emperor. Later Puran Giri returned, but Panchen Lama, he died of a smallpox there in Beijing itself. Purangiri's exploits might have impressed sixth Panchen Lama. Sixth Panchen Lama might have heard the stories about a newly constructed palace of established happiness in Beijing, Yanfu Gong, and the private garden built by the Manchu emperor in 1742. Then there was a major scare in China in 1768 when people lived in fear that their soul may be stolen. Panchen Lama got interested into the Garden of Happiness, which was built in Beijing. In Kalap, also the capital of Shambhala, it is said that a fabulous garden is located there. So Panchen wanted to project himself as a savior of Chinese masses from soul stealers. So in the year 1774, he sent a painting of King Suchanda, the first Dharma king in Kalachakra, who had taught the Adi Buddha Tantra. So he sent the painting of King Suchanda to Manchu Emperor in 1774. So this is important. In 1771, Purangiri Gosai meets him. In 1774, he sent the painting of King Suchanda to the Manchu Emperor in Beijing. And this painting is still preserved as item number 44769 in the Palace Museum. Thereafter, Panchen Lama composed Shambhala Lamig, a guidebook to Shambhala in 1775 AD, very next year. It is this imaginary travelogue which has caused so much confusion in modern scholarship. When one reads the travelogue, Shambhala Lamig, one finds how journey starts from Bodhgaya in Magadha. One had to travel south from Bodhgaya and then take ship to sail across ocean to reach Dhankosa island. It is how Panchen Lama is writing. He mentions about banana plants. Naturally, banana is not found, it is a tropical plant, it will not be found in Mongolia. And a red flower, Tujinae. I have identified this flower with Thailand's powder puff flower, Cambretum constrictum. In this travelogue, after crossing the Sita river, one finds mention of tree of Aljuna, toddy palm, wood apple, and so on. All these are again tropical plants, trees. Panchen Lama specifically mentions about a kind of melon, golden melon. It is a sun melon, or what we in Hindi call sarda, cucumbers yellow, which again is a tropical fruit with origin in Africa but found in Southeast Asia. The tribal accounts mention about peepal tree, sandalwood, and the Lohit Parvat. Lohit means red hills. And we all know that there are Lalmai hills, red hills near Komila, just near Arakan, adjacent to Arakan, from where another branch of Chanda kings ruled at that time. That Panchen Lama's guidebook appears not to be even a visionary travel account, but based on listening to travelogues of Indian mendicants and specifically Purangiri Gosai. Though Panchen Lama died of a smallpox, the guidebook became a major influence in Mongolia. Panchen Lama also composed a prayer to be reborn in Shambhala while he was in Beijing. This prayer was immediately translated into Mongolian as wish prayer to be born in the country of northern Shambhala. Now we just see that Shambhala becomes northern Shambhala. So at this time, the Kalachakra teachings were also being made popular in Mongolia by Sumpa Khenpo and others. They started holding public rituals. In Mongolia, at that time, the fourth Khutuktu, he introduced the Kalachakra Tantra formally in the early 19th century, I think 1803. In 1830, a Cham dance to depict the war of Shambhala based on 6 Panchen Lama's guidebook was enacted at Khamarin Khind in Gobi Desert. And the 5th Khutuktu, Danjan Rauja, he himself acted as a character. Danjan Rauja played a prominent role in establishing the legend of Shambhala in Mongolia. He built a Kalachakra temple in Khamarin Khind in Gobi and wrote a prayer to be reborn in Shambhala. At this place, the Shambhala Energy Center has recently been built, and this claims to be the gateway to earthly Shambhala just under the heavenly Sukhavati. This tweaking of Shambhala's location was amplified by misinterpretation by Hungarian explorer and founder of the field of Tibetology, Alexander Koros. In a letter written in 1825, Koros mentions Shambhala is like a Buddhist Jerusalem situated between 45 and 50-degree latitude. It was followed by his 1833 article, Notes on the Origin of Kalachakra and Adi Buddha System. He reiterated that Shambhala lies between 45 and 50-degree latitude. Then emerged founder of Theosophy movement, Helena Blavatsky. She specified Shambhala as a sacred island in the Gobi Desert in her secret doctrine, that magnum opus, particularly volume 2. It is at page 319. She mentioned for the first time in volume 2. Here is Shambhala. Her works influenced the whole generation of explorers. In fact, the 9th Panchen Lama, Thupten Choki Nima himself was much impressed by Blavatsky's writings. He popularized Shambhala myth in 1924. He also composed a prayer to be reborn in Shambhala. But he also twisted his geographical location from Mongolia to Tibet. Rather than Shambhala being in the north of Sita River, he tweaked Shambhala to be in north of India. So he put Tibet as Shambhala. Tibetan Buddhism was needed by China at this juncture. In 1915, we all know Japan demanded to have freedom to build Buddhist temples in China in their 21 demands. But Chinese were outraged, said how can Chelas, because Japan learned Buddhism from Chinese. So how can Chelas teach them Buddhism? And Japanese Buddhists argued that Japan preserved the last stage of Buddhism, that is Tantric Buddhism. Chinese claimed that a religion from Western region, that is India, that had all the exoteric and esoteric sects. Moreover, Kalachakra system was higher than Japan's Tantric Buddhism, Shingon Buddhism. So Chinese invited Panchen Lama, who held a huge Kalachakra public ceremony at Forbidden City in Beijing in October 1932. It was attended by almost 1 lakh people. Now, Panchen Lama projected Tibet larger than India at the western region of China, where all these teachings are preserved. In the meantime, what happened? Nicholas Roerich, who was much inspired by Ninth Panchen Lama's public espousal of secret mystical terrestrial land of Shambhala, he goes on a Central Asian expedition in search of Shambhala, and he comes out with a book in 1930, Shambhala. This book was based upon his own journey, but in the opening paragraph only, Roerich cites Soma Dikoros as someone who knew of Shambhala. In coming to 1960s, we find Helmut Hoffman. He writes about Shambhala geographical location, what Soma Dikoros had guessed. In fact, the website of current and 14th Dalai Lama Ji, His Holiness, who has already conferred 30-fold Kalachakra initiation to millions of believers, cites Hoffman as authority to claim Shambhala is in Central Asia. Then in 1933, James Hilton wrote a novel, Lost Horizon, most likely based on Roerich's book. Then there was a movie also which was made on this film. At that time, the Second World War had started. The Western world was tormented by this war and economic recession. They wished for Shambhala cum Shangri-La as a mythical land of peace. Now, coming to China, how Chinese discovered their own Shambhala cum Shangri-La in 1990s. So James Hilton's book was translated into Chinese in 1991. The region around Mount Kawakarpo, Meli Mountains, where 3 rivers, Nu Jiang, Lankan Jiang, and Jinsa Jiang, they flow parallel in Gelthang. We have seen here, all these 3 rivers. They flow parallel and come very close. So this region is Gelthang. So in Diking Prefecture. So this was declared as Shangri-La in 1997. The name of the county was formally changed to Chiang Gelila, Shangri-La, on December 17, 2001. A monastery is Sumseling. It is a Geluk monastery, 5 kilometers away from the city, is being promoted as center of Shangri-La. Apart from the different interpretations on geographical location of Shambhala, let us decipher Shambhala in the context of Tantra. Because you know, in Tantra there are 3 realms. So now we are only talking about geographical Shambhala. So let us discover within body where is Shambhala, within Mandala where is Shambhala. So Shambhalas are in different dimensions also. So before we should remember that the Kalachakra Tantra incorporated the concept of false body in 3 kaya doctrine of Mahayana Buddhism. 3 bodies of Buddhas are Nirman Kaya, Sambhog Kaya, and Dharma Kaya. When Buddhas are born in human form, it is a Nirman Kaya, like Sakyamuni Buddha was in Nirman Kaya. Then in the pure lands, like Sukhavati and Tusita, Dhyani Buddhas have Sambhog Kaya. These have form, these have root, but no calm, no desire, no. And then the pure, radiant, undifferentiated body, it is Dharma Kaya of Buddha. The Kalachakra Tantra talks about Sahaj Kaya. Sahaj means effortless, natural, innate body. This being the fourth body. And then there are 4 aspects which Kalachakra Tantra mentions. So it's not only Kaya, Vak, Chitta, body, speech, and mind. They add jnana, wisdom at the another dimension. So this is reflected in the Kalachakra mandal. We can see that it's also a means quadrilateral. So four aspects. So the shape is of a it is a square shape, and there are four layers also. This is the three-dimensional depiction of the Kalachakra mandala. Now the outermost layer is the body mandala. This one, okay. Here we have taken it out, and then comes the speech mandala. It is followed by mind mandala, chitta mandala. When within mind mandala there is this gyan mandala, okay, wisdom mandala, but within it is the great delight mandala, which is termed as mahasukh mandal. And you just see Shambhala. What is Shambhala? It is a description of the great delight. So this mahasukh mandal, in fact, it is Shambhala of the mandala, okay, Shambhala of the upper world. Now here in this mahasukh mandal, as the practitioners must be knowing how there is a green lotus flower with Kalachakra and Vishwamata on pericarp and 8 Shaktis on 8 petals. And the ratio measure of each layer is 1/2 of the previous layer. Like if the size is 100 here, it will be 50 here, it will be 25 here, it will be 12.5 here. So it's like that. Mahasukh mandal. So Mahasukh mandal within the Kalachakra mandal, that Mahasukh chakra, that itself it is Shambhala. So I have termed it the Shambhala of symbolic realm. Now coming to human body, because we have discussed the Shambhala in geographical world, outer world, then within mandala. Now I am coming to this human body. Here within human body, the measure of the mandala has been provided in the 5th chapter, last chapter, Gyan Patal of the Kalachakra Tantra, from stanza 171 to stanza 176. The body mandala, it is not from tip to toe. The body mandala is said to be from the forehead here to the tip of the male organ. It is 50 digit. Digit is the finger width, like you just see one angul in Hindi. So this is 1 digit. So 50 digit. Everyone can measure from their own finger width, and then they will realize, that is true. Then the speech mandala lies between throat and the navel from here to here. This is speech mandala. It is half of that, 25 digit. Then there is this mind mandala, chitta mandala. It is just above heart and below heart. So this is 12.5 digit. So you just see at each level there is halving. And this Gyan mandala, it is within heart. This is 6.25 digit. And we will just discuss it. So the verse 174 of the 5th chapter specifically mentioned that Gyan mandal lies within heart. This gnosis chakra, Gyan chakra, is 6.25 digit in measure. It is mentioned in the Tantra itself. What is that? I'm just reading that slok. Chitta aldhang sat sapadang Hritikat sahajang cha angulang gyan chakram. Chitta is mind, aldhang half of mind is 6 1/4. Sat is 6 and sapadang with a quarter. So 6.25 angul digit. So it is within heart, and this is the sahaj, that innate body, and this is the gyan chakra. So we just see that this is the 6.25 digit will be almost 4 inch, or the same as height of human heart. Human heart is also 10 centimeter in dimension. I am talking about the height. So the whole heart itself is the Gyan chakra. Now Shambhala, that is Mahasukh chakra, is within heart and half of the size of this Gyan chakra. So it will be 3 and 1/8 digit or 5 centimeter. Now in the Lok Dhatu, we know that the outer imaginary chakraval system, in that chakraval, the Tantra mentioned that body mandala is 1 lakh yojan in measure. Speech mandala is half of that, 50,000 yojan. Mind mandala is again half, 25,000 yojan. And the garv, the of the mandala, it is 12,500 euros. And so we have got another lok dhatu mandala itself. This has been mentioned at verse 169 and 170 of the 5th chapter, Gnosis Patal. Going by Evam doctrine, Mahasukh Mandala will be 6,205 yojan in diameter and up above on Meru itself. Now, in the Vimal Prabha commentary in the 3rd brief, the measure of Kalachakra Mandal also is mentioned. Okay, what was the size of Kalachakra Mandal in the Kalap in Shambhala? Kalap is capital of Shambhala. So Vimal Prabha says that the body mandala is of measure 400 hasta. Hasta is arm span from this part to this part. One hasta is equal to 24 digits. So body mandala is 400 hasta. Half of that, that is 200 hasta, is measure of speech mandala, and half of that, that is 100 hasta, is measure of mind mandala, and half of that, that is 50 hasta, is the measure of gnosis mandala. Now, this will be 25 hasta. Now, if you see, there are 8 petals there. So each the Shaktis on each petal, then each petal will be 6.25 hasta. So again, we are finding the same numbers. So in human age of 100 years also, we find that the Gnosis Chakra, Gyan Chakra, is said to arise at the age of 16 years. The ratio of arising of Gnosis Chakra in time span is 100 by 16, or again we come to 6.25, that Sat Sapadan. We have seen the pattern. Half of the Gnosis Chakra is the Mahasukh Chakra or Shambhala. And this is 3 and 1 by 8. That is 3.125, a very close approximation to pi. Let us find how it relates to the Kalachakra number. When one multiplies duration of a year of 360 days by 3 and 1 by 8, one obtains the Kalachakra number of 1125 days. Because a year is taken at 360 days in this system. Within a circle also, we know there are 360 radian degrees, and when we multiply it by 3, 1 by 8, one again obtains the number 1125. Thus, by combining the wheel circle with approximation of pi, one obtains the Kalachakra number 1125. So pi, I termed it the Mahamudra, the universal great seal of circles and wheels made be of time, space, or thought. And again, we find that the Kalachakra Tantra concludes with goal to accomplish realizing the 16-fold reality. This the last reality, Tattva is Nad. It is again 1/16 of the 16-fold reality. And what is Nad? Nad is the source of indestructible joy, Akshar Sukh. Hence, Nad is the Shambhala of Dharma. So I have mentioned about now 5 kinds of Shambhala. We have noted the 4-body doctrine of the Kalachakra system. I want to just correlate it with mathematics. This Tantra deliberates about Nyas, that is placing upon or establishing through 3 modes, mantra, symbols, and images. Images can be equated to the body, gross manifestation, symbols to the speech, and phonemes, mantra, to the mind mandala. Then we can add pure mathematical numbers as indicative of the Gyan mandala, Gnosis mandala. And within that number body, pi is the gateway to Mahasukh Mandal or Shambhala. Thank you very much for patient hearing, and I welcome for dialogue beyond this forum also. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Niraj. That was wonderful. If you wanted to, yep, great, thank you. Welcome anyone's questions. If there are any questions for Niraj today, please add them to the Q&A section in the Zoom. It's the little Q&A symbol at the bottom of the screen. I do have a couple of questions to start with, Niraj, if you're ready. You just got your sound off?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. So we have our first question. Somebody's just saying it's a wonderful book. Do you think it is important to have an understanding of Samkhya and Manduka, Upanishad and Jain philosophy to fully understand and practice the Kalachakra Tantra? And if so, why?
It borrows ideas from different philosophy. So Sankhya philosophy is there because it talks about 25 tattvas, and from there it builds up 36 tattva universe. So I think uh, because of its synthesis, it is borrowing from Jaina system also, from Sankhya also, from Sakt also. It's better to read as much as we know about the different Indic systems, then we will have a better clarity.
Thank you. Niraj, what is your opinion about the date of the start of the Golden Age and the manifestation of Shambhala? Do we have to wait for the year 2425, or can it start in this century? And if so, when exactly in this century?
Dear Daljo, in fact, when people say ki, the age, Shambhala age and the last Kalki will come in 24 AD, so I think there's a lot of confusion again created by Six Panches Lama because he's claimed to be the last Lord Kalki also. So it's not like that. When we see the list of Kalki kings in the Vimal Prabha, then we realize where the King Mahipal has been placed. So the text was composed during Mahipal reign, and Mahipal, I think it was the 14th Kalki king in the list. Okay, so from there, if we add a 14th or 15th Kalki king, I need to recheck it. But when I calculated that, then I found that in fact this 25th after 25 Kalki king, the next had to come only now, it means 2027 onwards. So the golden age, if it is said if the last Kalki king comes and then golden age will arrive, so that time has already arrived. We need not wait for 24 AD. That was a wrong misinterpretation because they thought when King Yes, he breathed the tantra, from that time they are adding 100 years for each Kalki king. But if we see at what number was Mahipala when this Tantra was written, and from there you add up to last Kalki King 100 years, then we find that arrives in 2027 only.
Thank you.
But before the golden age, there is going to be a lot of war and disruptions also, and we are already watching the situation, the way famines and then a pandemic, wars. So it's going to be a very topsy-turvy world. So let us wait for the golden age.
Thank you, Niraj. Daniela is asking, can you please explain more details about the gnosis element?
Gnosis element is the pure wisdom, and it's not the empirical like scientific knowledge. What we say, this is the intuitive and ultimate knowledge, and that knowledge which then no questions are left. So you have this compassion and joy is self arising. You don't need anything else, even sadhana, to be happy. So well, I think gnosis element is not this empirical knowledge. It's the transcendental knowledge when that dawns.
Thank you. Another question about the interpretation between the Mula Kalachakra Tantra fragment, that is the Sekodesa, and the extant smaller Kalachakra Tantra Stotra amount in finding the location of Shambhala, considering the flora and fauna, for example, Irrawaddy of Burma versus Mongolia and Tibet.
In my introduction, I have already devoted several pages to state that Shambhala cannot be in Mongolia and this place. And I have been pointed that it is in Arakan and who are Suchanda, that also have been pointed, and how the Tantra came to this Naropa, who were the Kalachakra path elder and the younger. So all these things are in the introduction of the book. And in fact, the introduction itself is quite exhaustive. It is 224 page long. So you may go through that for details.
Mhm. Perfect, thank you. Is there any connection between Shambhala and Gyan Ganj, as mentioned by Gopinath Kaviraj and Sri Vishwananda and Tibetan Bon Lord of Sherab Winmo of Zangzung Kingdom in north of Kailash?
So every spiritual group, they have got their own vision, utopian, the vision for a utopian place. So there is Gyangan, there is Sambala, there are other that kind of pure land. The difference between other pure land and Sambala is that Sambala is said to be on a terrestrial place. It is very much on the earth, unlike other pure land. Say Gyanganj is a place where one goes only astrally. You don't go there physically. But Sambala, it is said that it is a physical place where you can go physically. So I think there's not much connection. And Shambhala term itself has been in a way. I think it is an innovation. It may not be a real geography. Also, it was an innovation, a place of eternal peace, delight, prosperity. So that is Shambhala.
Thank you. I'm sure we can perhaps Niraj might be able to share the PowerPoints for everyone if they email in and would like that. Yeah, please, if you would like more information or to share the slides, office@zogton.org. From AJ, very enlightening presentation, Niraj. Question regarding the concept of Shambhala in Chinese Buddhist philosophy. Can you shed more light on Shangri-La in China?
The Shangri-La, which Chinese have now named, and they are promoting, basically it is for tourism purposes. It has nothing to do with Buddhism or this thing. So it's purely a tourist gimmick, I will say.
Thank you. And the interpretation of Mecca also, Niraj?
Yes. You see, Mecca here in the text, it is one of the Visay. Visay means country. Like Arya, India is a Visay. Mecca is not a place only. Mecca is a Visay. So in Mecca, Baghdad is there. So, so Mecca is a wider Arab world. It is not only Mecca city. Mecca is a wider Arab world where Baghdad is also situated. So as per the Tantra. So generally when we find there are mention of Baghdad twice and Mecca also twice. So generally we say that Mecca means in Mecca and Medina. No, Mecca is in that wider connotation. It's a country. Okay.
Thank you. Niraj, a couple of questions from my side. You spoke about mastering the mandala offering, that you can master the outer world. Can you explain that in a little bit more detail?
I couldn't get the question.
So you spoke about mastering the mandala offering. By doing this, you can master the outer world. Yes.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit more about that?
Yes, because what is happening that, when we have this cause and effect chain, so some cause is causing some effect. But in the principle of, similarity, a structural resonance, I will say structural resonance, there's no cause and effect. This system is different, this system is different. There's no cause and effect relationship. But if you do something here, that can influence system there, and not through cause and effect. It is a causal. So it is based on that I have been explaining. It is the Evam principle, similarity principle. So how it is, and in science also we know the non-local effect. People are saying no, there is no connection. Still electrons, the pair of electrons sitting at in a different lab, that gets influenced. So if we master mandala, so by same mastery, you can also master your body. And if you attain that Vajradaya, okay, then you can reverse the flow of, you know, this bodhicitta going down. You can reverse that flow. And if you
Mm,
reverse the flow, then you reverse the process of aging. And if
mm,
you have a Vajradaya, then you can also means appears the external world like a Kalki, and you
mm,
can bring transmutation there. So it's like alchemical process.
mhm,
Okay, and then you can establish a Buddha Cheta outside. So, but, the second thing is like I also mentioned that they also talk about a mandala within women's body. So
mm,
if someone masters there also the prana winds, it can have same influence over one's body, which so it is operating through the Evam principle, not through the cause and effect principle.
mm. Thank you. And Niraj, through your book, you speak about the body and the correlations between the internal, external, and other universe like a machine. Can you talk about why you have, I guess, detailed it in this way?
The Kalachakra is not only what to say, normal tantra. It's basically a wider philosophy. So if it is talking about the whole world is has sentience, but it is also saying, because in the second volume you'll find how they have found death itself is a biomechanical process, and if death is also means our human bodies are like machines, and these machines are operating through this pratit samutpad. Okay, that 12 nidana chain. So if and wheresoever pratit samutpad is working, there you have got death and decay. You
Mm,
just see. So if you have to escape death and decay, then you have to escape this chain of causation, and that escape route is evam. Okay. So Kalachakra visualizes our body as a machine, the external world as a machine, and you see in a machine, ultimately they say in a machine what happens? Say you have got seeds of everything, seeds of elements. You have got earth seed, water seed, fire seed. So these are there how you can modulate these seeds, and these seeds can be ground by machines. And what is produced? It is the rasa, the oil,
mm,
juice, nectar. So for the Kalachakra philosophy, ultimate is to produce the samaras, okay, nectar with a homogeneous nectar. And how that is produced, so then again this whole model is of a machine, within a machine, how, and at that time the highest machine was this wild mills. Okay, so I have also mentioned in the book, say if a Kalachakra master would have been today, he would have been alive, then he would have been talking in terms of chips.
mm.
Okay, chips of the this computers, rather
Yes.
than talking in terms of wheels, because at that time that was the highest technology. Presently this is the highest technology.
Mm,
So isn't fascinating the whole world is operating through the machine system, also wheels, pratit samutpad, and there is a way out through the evam principle.
mhm. Thank you. We have a few more questions, Niraj, if you are comfortable for some more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so why was there more than one opinion about the location of Shambhala, or in fact any other such sacred places where the monks who have after so much sadhana or penance fail to converge, if it is one and only the one true place? So how far can one claim that one has arrived at one and not the other? So for your own purposes, Niraj, are you claiming this based on data and research, or on other intuitive ability?
Uh, uh, See, it's humanly very difficult to under decipher Kalachakra Tantra without the grace of the energies, Shaktis.
Mm,
So naturally there are certain support. I will say, finally you know the truth only through intuition. But to
mm,
arrive at the intuition, you have to work a lot on do the empirical investigation also. Intuition comes only at a later stage. So
mm,
it's a combination of both. And well, we can't say that there is no pure land kind of thing where people can travel, because masters have traveled and they do travel. Even now there may be many masters uh, who can move into different dimensions. We have been so you can't say ki it's all only story making. But particularly about Shambhala, ki Shambhala is in Tibet or Shambhala is in Mongolia, that thing I wanted to demystify, that Tantra and Vimal Prabha never said that Shambhala is in Mongolia or Tibet. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Is Vajrakaya the rainbow body 3 in 1 of Dharmakaya, Sambhogagaya, and Nirmanakaya?
No, Vajrakaya is basically like when your body transmutes and you control the channel of death. Okay, it's like vaccination. You have got uh, a small, a corona virus, and from there you induce the immunity. So similarly, there are yogic processes in the tantra by which you can, use the death nadi, death channel, that is kal nadi within human body, and that is visible also, because at the time of death it is visible in the eye, it is visible under our tongue. So that death nadi, so if one can, tame, domesticate that death nadi, then that death nadi can act as a vaccine against death itself, and then you become Vajrakaya, you transmute. Okay. So so this is not the Dharmakaya and other things. Vajrakaya is you are having a physical body which is beyond the vagaries of time. And in rainbow body, after one attains Vajrakaya, the Tantra says that after practice of 6 months, then your body starts emitting light. It is visible. And the rainbow, because there are 5 colors, and that is a different story, color symbolism and how this rainbow body. So, and you become, you don't, your body, this substance, you have a substance, a body without a substance, without material. So I will say dematerialized body. Okay, so that is after you obtain this Vajrakaya.
Thank you. We also have someone asking when the 2nd volume will be published, Niraj. Perhaps if you give an overview of the 5 volumes as well, would be good. Yeah.
Second volume has already gone to the publisher, so it is under final processes. But remaining 3 volumes have been written, and these are available with me, typed, everything is ready. But I don't want to give to publisher, because it has to be published in a phased manner. It's not a simple text, one can just go through the text. So it requires what is my plan is to bring all the 5 volumes by the end of 2024. But second volume, maybe it will come by June, July 23.
Okay, thank you. And Niraj, I wanted to ask you, and I know we've spoken about this before, but your, I guess, hopes or wishes in writing these books for the world, if you could talk about that.
No, I couldn't get it.
Just wanted to ask about your hopes for sentient beings in writing these books.
Naturally, my dream is also that we should have a planetary Shambhala. Everyone has abundance, material prosperity, peace, and everyone has a job. How he or she wishes, I want to do this job. Because if you don't have the engagement, our living must be engaged living. There's no joy if you don't have work to do. So uh, this is the ultimate dream, no? So I just want, can we have a planetary Shambhala? I'm not talking about Shambhala as just a small location somewhere. Can we build a planetary Shambhala? Can we transcend this war and differences and discriminations? Can we share prosperity? So that is the dream which I had when I was very young, and I don't know how I came to this Kalachakra Tantra, because that is not my field of expertise.
Yeah. Thank you, Niraj. I have people asking to for me to show the book again. So they didn't see it properly as I showed it before. So here it is, Kalachakra Tantra. You can find it online. So this is the first volume, and as Niraj said, the second volume is already at the printers.
You also saw the so like this, you know, the
This,
yes. This
yeah.
is voluminous work, almost 700 pages.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's, let me have a look if there's any more questions. I think we're good. So just wanted to thank you so much for today, Niraj. It was a very wonderful talk, and I know a lot of people are asking for it to come be online because it's very condensed and lots of information. So we will be sharing it on YouTube as well. So, but yes, just wanted to thank you so much, Niraj, for being with us today. It was really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for offering this opportunity.
Thank you.